Hi, this is a video I've been really looking forward to do, the introduction of the Enterspeed Query API. To be fair, working with lists, especially larger ones with pagination and filtering, has not been a well-integrated part of the Enterspeed experience so far. The lists were static and required reprocessing, and even simple things like pagination required external tools. And this is exactly what the Enterspeed Query API is about to change. It's a search index with filtering, pagination, sorting, facet support, and more. And it's well integrated into the Enterspeed platform with a new schema type and dynamic view referencing on the query time. And I'm really looking forward to show you that part. To be fair, if you still need full text search with synonyms and language understanding and more, you still need a strong search engine like Algolia, TypeSense, or Realize. But let's go ahead and check it out. So here we are in Enterspeed, and to showcase it, I have ingested some blog posts. So right here I have 30 blog posts, and if we look at them, we can see that we have a title, author, publish date, some tags, content of course, and we also have some user-generated comments down here. So some pretty generic blog post content that we have here. Now, in order to build a schema and work with the query API, you will need to start to build a schema like you normally would. So I'll click create here, and you can see down here, you can now select a index type schema. I already created a schema, so I'll just close this one and open the blog folder here, and you can see I have a blog index schema right here. The index schema looks familiar to you if you're already familiar with Enterspeed. The only difference is the index object right here. So the index object defines the field that you need to have, that you want to have within your index. It defines the individual fields, and it defines the type of each field in the index. Down here we also have the properties function, and it's still responsible for mapping out your data like in a normal schema. So here I've mapped out the 3 properties that are created within my index: publish date, title, and author name. So let's go ahead and extend this schema. So let's say I also want to include the tags. So I'd write tags here, and that's an object, and I need to specify the type. And for the type here, I will select the keyword array, because I can have multiple tags on my blog post. So now I extended my schema, and now I just need to go ahead and map out the data. So for the tags, I will include source entity properties.tags, like this. Let's go ahead and test the schema. I click the test button here, and we can see that the tags is mapped out. I have 3 tags for this specific blog post. And we can also see down here that the tags field for the index schema is defined here as the keyword array. So that's working. I'll go ahead and save my updated index schema, and I'll need to deploy it. So I'll deploy it right away. Just like that. And if I head over to the indexes page, which is a new page, we can see that the blog index is currently deploying, and it's deploying version 4 of the schema. Now this is a really cool feature, because let's say I already had deployed version 3 and my front end is using version 3. Whenever I deploy a new version, the front end will still be using version 3 until version 4 is fully ready and swapped. So you don't have this mismatch where Enterspeed is serving data from 2 different versions in a short period of time. Right now it's an automatic swap, but later on we will add a manual swap, so you can either here from the UI in the management app swap to the new version, or you can do it from the CLI in your CD pipeline. So whenever the new version is ready, you can deploy your front-end code and you can swap the index quickly. You can also go into the index and have a look at it. So we can see that we have the 30 items in the index. You can also click on them and see the content on the individual items within the index. Here we got the tags that we just added. What you can also do from the management app is that you can edit the raw query here, right here. So if you're not familiar with the syntax, of course you can head over to the documentation, but you can also play with it right here. So let's say right here we have an author name of Jane Doe. So you can click Add Filter and say I want to filter on the author name, and it should be equals to Jane here. So we can see that the filter is added to the query right here. We can also see that the query is executed. So now I only have 10 results. And you can also change the pagination and click Run Query. And let's change the pagination to, let's say, 5. We can run it, and now we only have 5 results. So this is like a playground where you can play around with the query until you're happy with it. Now, of course, once you have your queries ready, you're not playing around with it in the management app. You will use the query API. So let's head over to Postman. And right here, I have the query API. I'm requesting the block index. And for the headers, the API key, you're using the same environment client as you're using for the delivery API that you are probably already using. So right here, we have the query. So I can just click execute. We can see that we have 30 results in total, but I only get 20 returned because that's my page size right here. What you can also do is play around with facets. So facets is an array of objects. So let's say I want to build a facet on the tags. So I'll write field right here, and the field that I want to have a facet group on is the tags. So I can execute it right again, and still got the results right here. But if we collapse that, we can also see that now I also have a facet group called tags. And each of the items within that group, let's say AI has a count of 20. So I had 20 blog posts with AI tag, LLM, I have 4, Edge 2, and so on and so on. I can also go ahead and give it a name. So let's say the name should be tags with a capital T. And maybe I also want to set the size and return 3. So now I can go ahead and execute it once again. So now that we can see that we have the name here, maybe that's the name that I want to use for displaying my front-end application. And for the groups, now only 3 is returned. And it's the 3 items with the highest count that is returned. I could also add multiple facets if I wanted to do that. Now, so far, I only added the properties that I need for filtering, sorting, and to build facets on. You can also include presentation data within your index directly using the object type, and in some cases that makes sense to do. But often you only need the properties you need for filtering, sorting, and to build facets on. Because as mentioned earlier, you can now have built a dynamic view referencing on query time using the query API. And what does that mean? Well, let's go ahead and check out some other schemas that I already built. I already built a blog post details that will include all the information that I have on the blog post for my details page. And I also created another view here, another schema called blog post tile. And this one only includes the information that I need for a tile. So the tile, the publish date, and the summary. So what I can do with the query API, I could reference aliases, and that will be the schema aliases of the views that I want to reference. So right here, I could say that I want to include the blog post details view. So if I execute the query right now, we can see that I still got the items right here. But what you can see down here, each of the items also includes some views, in this case, the blog page details. So all these informations are included for each of the results, even though that I don't have these information in my index. So this is a really strong feature. I could also go ahead and change it to say now I want to include the blog post tile view instead. So now I only have the properties for the tile view. So I can request different data for the same index. I could also go ahead and say I want to reference both of them. And now I have both the blog post tile and the blog post details information directly in my query API. So this is a really, really powerful feature that is well integrated into the features that we already had in the Enterspeed platform. You can also go ahead and request multiple queries within a single request. So let's say you want to do a filtered query on some data, but you also want to make another query, an unfiltered query with a, let's say, a page size of 0, because you only want to return all the facets, the unfiltered facet group. So you can do these two queries in the same request. This was a very short introduction to the Enterspeed Query API, and hopefully it gave you some insight into the Query API and how you can use it in your solution. And hopefully you saw that it's adds powerful dynamic lists with filtering, pagination, sorting, and facets, and integrated view references directly in Enterspeed.